Buffalo, where we're 30 inches below average. So Minneapolis, that puts us at 15 inches below average practically.
It's been the case all through the Midwest. Chicago, I mean, you went all of January and February, no snow on the ground. Indianapolis, St. Louis, no snow in St. Louis either, and all running more than a foot behind average.
It's like we're hogging in the West. You know, the West Coast is like, this is ours. We are not sharing.
We're taking it all.
Right. We're going to keep it for ourselves.
There actually is a little bit of snow cover still in North Dakota. I think 4 inches in Bismarck is still left on the ground. But we warm back up again, and this after a very warm and above average February.
I mean, look at this. Paducah, the warmest winter we've had on record with an average temperature of 42.8. That's when you're adding all the temperatures together, not just the highs, but the lows also.
All right, so here's where we are today. Bismarck, we're going above freezing, 38 degrees. Minneapolis, Chicago, we're actually a smidge below freezing. But for average right now, Chicago is 41, but we're right back up above tomorrow.
Right, so that's just tomorrow. Wait till we get into Sunday. Look at the oranges that are creeping towards Omaha. Nobody likes a creeper, not even a meteorologist here.
What I think is fascinating about March, though, is the extremes. So I was looking at Detroit. The records these days are like upper 60s for highs. The record lows are below 0. So you can have such a range in temperatures. That's not record breaking, by the way, is the reason I looked at it.
True. And we are going to see cooler air come in again, but it's not going to be as cold as this air mass that we have coming in, that's in right now, I should say. So for instance, you know, 34, we climb back up, and then look, we just drop back down into the 40s, back down towards average.
Right back down towards average. All right, next 7 days here in Minneapolis. All right, so quick look at Chicago. For us, we're above or below average, I should say, today, and then we are above for the extended range. All right. In your weather records, you get at least, you know, flurries in March, going back every single year for weather records. However, it is a warm pattern getting into the first 10 days of March. We do start with below average, and that's what we're dealing with today from the Northeast back to the Midwest. Temperatures going to run below average. Even the South, Atlanta, we should be about 60, 58 degrees is where you'll be, and that's the case in Nashville and Charlotte and in Charleston, where you've got your wine and food festival this weekend. A little cool to start your mornings, but gorgeous afternoons with a lot of sunshine. Now, watch what happens though. As we get Friday into Saturday, two things are changing. One, in the West, we start to bring our next big system in. The onslaught comes in with even some thunderstorms possible in Seattle. Plus, we bring rain back up here into Texas. Not necessarily thunderstorms, but rain in South Texas. Could see some heavy rain as we see the moisture return. A little piece of energy comes on in. Looking ahead to the east, cold day in New York City Saturday. It does stay pretty breezy right through the weekend. You know, even though it's not going to be as windy as yesterday, the winds will stay gusty. Very wintry feel. You'll probably see those stratocumulus clouds up there throughout the Midwest and Northeast right through the weekend. Temperatures start warming up in the middle of the nation. In the west, we get the rain that spreads all the way down the coast. The southeast brings in a few more clouds through the weekend. The keeps the rain out, though. Atlanta, 64 degrees, and it should be dry for NASCAR drivers, Kelly.
With these systems, and there's two that I know this is, listen, to the untrained eye, you're like, what are you showing me at 7, 8 in the morning? Come on, guys.
Oh, but we love these water vapor images. You can see so much detail. Really just take a few moments and humor us and take a look at the details. All right, so this little guy right here, this moves across northern Mexico and helps bring us rain to Texas this weekend.
Right, and then we focus our eyes on this system, which is going to be the next big weather maker coming in for the week. And notice that it is positively tilted. It's tilted towards me. That means it's strengthening, opposed to if it was tilted that way, that would be negative tilt, and that means it'd be lifting out.
And I do want to mention that, you know, we have that sort of speckly look up here. That indicates some cold air aloft. That's how we could actually get some thunderstorms. Just looking at the Storm Prediction Center and their outlook for thunderstorms, the only place they have right now is actually on the West Coast. We might see some lightning and thunder.
Yeah, a little bit. And as this swings around, we could get some thunderstorms in the lower 48. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a huge outbreak like we saw this past week.
It's not a classic situation, but there are some signs that tell us that we have to look out for thunderstorms. One, we've got that big dip in the jet stream. The surface front dives in. It helps draw up moisture. The energy itself pulls pretty far north. But where you get the intersection of moisture and mid to upper level strong winds, you can get thunderstorms.
And the reason being is this is at the surface, so that moisture is basically coming up like this. And if you get winds across it like that, you can see there's a little turn in the atmosphere there.
And we have the chance for rain very far north, into Wisconsin, into Michigan. You guys got rain all the way up. Northeast, it's rain. It is mild when this next system comes in because the low itself, that surface low, tracking all the way up here, brings up the warm air, the moisture, and the rain.
Okay, so here we go looking at the winds. This is where we see our max winds. Anywhere you see these pinks and those blues coming in, that's where you look for the maximum winds.
Then watch the moisture. I know this is so subtle, but you see these little green wind barbs. This is as far north as the 50-degree dew point air is going to get. And so where that intersects with some stronger winds, perhaps there's a chance for some thunderstorms.
Yeah, but notice still the stronger winds are offshore over here.
Yeah,
so
I mean that's why the strongest. It's just stronger.
Just showing people a comparison of the idea is if you had these strongest winds right over the biggest moisture, that's when you'd be a little more concerned.
But it's right on the edge, right in here. So Missouri Monday, there's a chance for thunderstorms. This is your early heads up for that. We look ahead to Tuesday, strong winds up here, moisture down here. Maybe there's some thunderstorms in Tennessee and Kentucky.
But this is why, I think the Weather Channel is so helpful, because we can say, well, this is why we don't think it's going to be a huge outbreak like last week, because those strongest upper level winds are far to the north of where the bulk of the moisture is.
I mean, you look at St. Louis. Here's your forecast. Monday, it's going to be windy. That's going to be a south wind, so bringing up the warmth and the moisture. Your dew points are coming back up, but everything's not matching up, so you end up with rain before things dry out and the front moves through on Tuesday.
Same in Nashville. They get a Monday night into Tuesday.
Could be thunderstorms.
Yeah, we could have some thunderstorms there. They fly through the mud, and they have dirt spitting out of the back tires here with over 2,000 horsepower under the hood.
We're talking Monsanto,
the driver of El Toro Loco. Thanks for being with us this morning. Let's start off with the weather aspect. And how does weather play a role in racing?
So too, right? So the trucks, obviously need to perform both well inside and outside.
Temperature, does it affect the engines? Like you think of airplanes and, when they're sucking in colder air, they can take off on a shorter runway and whatnot. Does cold or warm affect your engine? Windshield wipers on it in case there is rain. How does that work?
That's fantastic. What about extremes just for the guys driving the truck? I mean, if you guys are outside in an outdoor event on a really hot day, how hot does it get inside?
The tread, because, we just had on our show yesterday Kurt Busch, who won the Daytona 500, and they have absolutely no tread on their tires whatsoever. And of course, the temperature affects their tires. Because your tires are so big, does the temperature affect them? Even at home, right? Your car light goes on when it's cold in the morning.
These shows are known for the big stunts and the speed and everything else, and just the level of noise. Can you fire that guy up and give us a sense of what it sounds like?
Joining us this morning and for giving us a little insight there.
Have a great time this weekend.
Trucks. Yeah, have a lot of fun with that. All right, Kelly, some people maybe want to head out on their trucks this weekend and do a little Sunday drive.
Take you into what we're going to be tracking. That eventually actually makes it to all of these places that he was talking about weather-wise, but we start in the west in LA. If your weekend trip is this weekend, I want to show you when rain comes in. So what we're looking at right here is the water vapor. Love this color version of the water vapor because you can see detail. You can see what's streaming in right now. That's the moisture coming into the west. And what we have up here is a big dip in our jet stream, and this, underneath this cold upper level low, some cold air loft means that we could get some instability showers, some thunderstorms are possible as this swings on out and into the northwest. So here we go. It is on. We are back into our wet pattern on the west coast. Rain comes into Seattle. Today, Portland, we're going to get rain as well. It starts spreading down the coast. And to start, it's a fairly mild system. But again, there's that cold air back behind it. And so as that comes in, snow levels will start to come down in the Cascades. The snow and the whole system itself will start spreading down into California. Rain by Sunday all the way into LA. And we'll get that snow spreading down into the Sierra as well. I mean, what a year ahead has been for snow in the Sierra. Let's take a look at what we're going to get out of this next system. In the Cascades, we'll get about 1 foot up in the Washington in the Cascades. Oregon, we could get maybe 1.5 feet to 2 feet, especially in the southern Oregon Cascades. But in the Sierra, every single snowstorm, we keep talking about your snow in feet. It's not up to 1 foot or 1.5 feet. It's 2 to 3 feet. And there could even be some locally 3 to 4 foot snowfalls. It's possible in a few spots not too far from Truckee. Pass level will be affected. Interstate 80, US 50, all going to be a factor. And we're just going to keep on piling up the snow. If you're planning to go skiing, get ready. Got to dig out those lifts yet again this weekend with more snow yet to come, especially Saturday into Sunday. All right, want to show you perspective on how much snow we have gotten. So we get these numbers. We're running 157% of average, 190% of average in the Middle Sierra, and down to the Southern Sierra, 200% of average with our snowpack. But what does that look like? This is really neat imagery to take you back and show you what it looks like, because by comparison, that's what tells the story. All right, so watch this tree over here to keep the comparison going. 2 years ago, March 1st, 21% of average. Last year on March 1st, same time, same date, 87% of average. You can see the snow. Look down here. Look at this year. We are at 190% of average. Look how high that snowpack is. You can tell it's the same picture. You can see that tree, but look at all the snowfall.